It's been a wild year for real estate and the financial markets, but this is also creating some interesting opportunities. And before I get into those opportunities, I just want to say that I believe the first quarter of 2023 is going to produce some amazing deals. And that's why I wanted to make this video. Now, it won't be every property on the market, and you do have to do some digging, and I'm going to get into that in a little bit. But there's going to be some great deals to take advantage of for different types of buyers in every market. And honestly, what caused me to dig deeper into this was the fact that Wall Street and the super wealthy investors are gearing up to take advantage of certain things in the market, and the general public has no clue this is even going on, or they're just scared. They pretend not to know. Personally, my family and I own a primary plus a couple of rental properties, and we're looking to add a couple more properties right now. So we've been looking at different out-of-state opportunities for the first quarter. And I'll tell you this, I've worked my ass off at jobs for the last 20 years, but nothing has made me more money than real estate. Owning the properties, which is obviously slower appreciation over time, but then things like paying down the loan balances, amortization, that puts equity in your pocket each and every year. And on the rentals, the fact that I'm getting positive cash flow each and every month, that's passive income, which is the best type of income. I don't know about you, but I love making money while I sleep, and that has been a great source for wealth for me and my family and my retirement. And some say that it's a pain in the ass to have a rental property, but here's what you can do. Get a property manager to handle everything for you. And also, a lot of the problems people talk about, they're way exaggerated. So it all comes back to real estate being a great source of wealth for myself and so many other people I work with or help. Owning real estate completely changes people's financial future and lives, and I just wanted to stress the importance of this before I get into it, because so many people overlook this. And please don't forget to subscribe so you can stay up to date when I post in the future. So the game plan for this video, I'm gonna go over some data points really quick. Then we're gonna get into how I identify deals in today's market. How do we structure those deals to really take advantage of them? And then how do we structure the financing? Right now, everybody knows interest rates are pretty high, but there's ways to bring the financing down using this game-changing strategy, using the seller's money. We'll get more into this. Then what the outlook is for the financing in the future. Okay, for some of you, today's video might just be some really good information that you wouldn't have heard anywhere else, but for some, maybe looking to buy your first home and you want to know how to take advantage of the market. And some of you already own a home and you might just be thinking maybe how to upgrade to your dream home, or you might be thinking of buying your first investment property. No matter where you're at, this is going to be really important for you and great information for you to listen to, or maybe even someone that you know might want to hear this. Also, at any point during this video, if you just want to skip ahead and book a call with me, you can go ahead and do that at the link in the description. I'll be more than happy to go over your specific scenario. But I just want to give you all the data, and I'm going to show you some great opportunities that will be coming up in the first quarter. Now, here's the thing. Real estate is up massively over the last couple of years. So it's perfectly normal to see a little bit of a pullback because nothing's going to go up in a straight line. Although we're already seeing pullback, it's actually healthy for the market. Whenever there's a pullback, you'll see a lot of people jumping on the news of the market's going to crash. Just because it makes great news and scares your average consumer, the fact that you're watching this, so I know you're not average. Now, this current market is nothing like the market was in 2008. I'll make another video on specific data about that market and explain all the details with that, but it's nothing like 2008. I'll make sure to update the description and add the link in there in the future so you can go out in a later time and check out all that data points comparing the two markets, 2008 and now. What we really want to do is use this short-term event, which is a normal pullback, and see if you can find deals. Okay, so I think it's important that you know that most of the people who are interested in buying a home or need to buy a home didn't just go away. They just hit their pause button for a little bit due to uncertainty to the market, and some of those buyers are still out there. They're all just waiting to buy right now. I mean, don't get me wrong. I know there are people who lost their job or maybe something major happened financially, but for the most part, these buyers are just sidelined. These last couple of years have been pretty wild, to say the least. It's been pretty wild. Currently, unemployment is really low, and there's a lot of opportunity out there for people to make money. So this isn't your normal, typical recession where you see a lot of joblessness and a lot of pain and suffering. A simple search and you'll see there are a ton of jobs available, and with the rideshare, food delivery services, anyone can sign up and start earning some extra money on the side, and they can start doing it the same day. Basically what happened with home buyers, there used to be a lot of fear of missing out, and now it's changed to fear of making a mistake. A lot of the type of thinking comes from the recession of 2008, or just not having enough data. No one wants to make a major mistake with their finances, so they're just sitting on the sidelines waiting to see how things play out in this market. Okay, so this sentiment will change, and I'll go over a few factors that are going to cause this. So next, I'm going to show you a few key data points about the market because it's going to give us clues as to where the markets are headed. And then I'm also going to get into the opportunities, and that's what's going to be really important about this. So stick around. Now, I said earlier there are major institutional funds that are gearing up to buy more real estate in 2023. Like Blackstone just raised a massive fund for acquiring real estate in 2023, and that's going to include single family homes in many markets around the US. And then JP Morgan Chase just announced $1 billion specific fund for acquiring single family homes. Why are they buying? I mean, think about it. It's because they know that demand is pulled back. So they're gonna use this to get better pricing on properties. But the main thing they're looking at is supply. They know that there's a shortage of housing. There's a shortage of single family homes in many of the growth markets throughout the country. After the 2008 recession, many builders slowed down and they just didn't build enough homes over the past decade. So the US is short for the demand of all the households being formed right now. So if you zoom out and look at the big picture over the next several years, there's just gonna be a continued shortage of single family homes in several markets. And the demand will go up and down based on the economy. But the main thing is there's gonna be a huge amount of supply coming on the market, which is good for housing prices over the long term. So let's look at interest rates, which are the biggest driver of demand. You saw interest rates spike this year, which caused people to get a little bit fearful and pull back demand. But now you're seeing rates cool off a little bit and drop. Now, mortgage rates move with inflation. They don't move with the short-term rate that the Fed moves up and down. They move with inflation. So as inflation got out of control, so did mortgage rates. But now in the last couple of months, you've seen inflation cool off just a little bit. And at the same time, mortgage rates have started to cool off just a little bit. But rates are still elevated. They're still a lot higher than they were in 2020, 2021, but they're getting more reasonable. Now, interest rates are something that we definitely need to keep an eye on because this is the single biggest factor that's driving the market today. There's also a big factor here that's very important to know. There is a significant group of homeowners who have a 30-year fixed mortgage rate below 4%. Some people even below 3%. These people locked in ridiculously low interest rates for the life of the loan, and they are in no rush to give up that rate, meaning there's a lot of stability in the homeowners who have these super low rates. And we've seen that before. That's a new factor that's specific to today's market. This is important because this is just another factor that's going to keep the inventory numbers really low. Now we're going to look at some opportunities, and the purpose of looking at all that data first was to show you that. Yeah, there's going to be some great deals out there, but at the same time, we have to be realistic because there's also some stability in the market. And it's not going to be some crazy crash like it was back in 2008. The market is completely different this time around. So here's the deal. Wall Street, super rich investors, they're all going to look to acquire quality assets at a discount. They'll be holding these assets long term. That's how they get even richer. This is what happens every time there's a pullback in asset prices. It seems like almost a transfer of the wealth from the middle class, but it doesn't have to be that way. We can participate in that too. So here's how we can find deals in the current market. The most common way to get a good deal is to find a motivated seller. This is a seller who maybe had a life event where they needed to sell, they may be in financial hardship, or there could be some other factor that's driving them to sell within a certain time frame. This isn't taking advantage of them at all. You're helping them get out of their situation. This is how deals are found. Now we want to look for motivated sellers in conjunction within aged listings. These are properties that were listed too high or for several other reasons, but they've been in the market too long. This causes the listing agent and the seller to be more willing to play ball when it comes to negotiating. Now, another motivated seller is going to be an institutional seller or a builder. Right now, on institutional side, there are companies that acquired a bunch of properties right now and they need to flip them. Or they could be an individual small company. One company that comes into mind, the institutional side, is Open Door. Open Door bought a bunch of properties over the last year and they still own a significant number of homes in the country today. I've recently had a few customers purchase Open Door properties at a major discount. We're talking 50 to 100K discounted. So if you look at just an example in my market, Open Door owns a decent number of properties in my market. So check this out. There's a lot of properties that they still own, and these are great deals because they're willing to negotiate. In many cases on these properties, they listed them way too high now, and they're willing to negotiate on the price on a lower amount. Let me show you a single family home in Simi Valley. This property is actually pretty nice on the inside and the front yard. The backyard does need a little bit of work, but it looks like a good quality home, and this thing was listed way too high. It's been sitting on the market, and they've cut the price by $80,000. They're definitely willing to negotiate on this specific property. I think you can get this one at a decent price, as long as you structure the right deal. Now, there's so many more like this property, and there's also more properties that are owned by Open Door in many other markets around the country. Some of them have to be remodeled, and there's some great opportunities for upgrading your properties or even looking at opportunities that are just going to make great rentals. Now, on the builder side, there are some builders who are motivated to sell existing inventory of the homes, so they're willing to cut really good deals on them right now. That's another area where you can look at for motivated seller opportunities. A transaction I recently did a loan on, the real estate agent was able to negotiate a lower price for the the buyers. In most cases, the builder sets the price and there is no negotiating. The buyers ended up getting a killer deal. Now on the high end, the luxury market, I'm seeing some really significant discounts because these properties are usually listed too high by the listing agent. They sit on the market much longer. I'm seeing properties at the high end that are getting a $500,000 plus discount from where they're currently listed. So you really see some bigger moves percentage wise on the high end properties on a case by case basis. They're just, the luxury market's much different. Okay, how do you find these deals in the market? Well, there's software available that can be used to narrow this process down and identify the good deals in any market. You can also schedule a time to speak with my team and I. We can go over exactly what you're looking for. And if you want to schedule a time with me, the link is in the description and we can go over all the details once you schedule a time. Okay, so locating a property does take some time and I would have to connect you with a few real estate agents. But my team and I are happy to go through this with you one-on-one basis with anyone who's interested in digging deeper into a specific criteria for your market or your specific scenario. So now, when do we find one of these deals? How do we determine how much to offer? What's the biggest discount we can get? And then how do we structure the deal? Now, every deal is going to be a little bit different. So we're going to need to do some analysis on each specific deal to find out what's the sweet spot for where we should be making an offer on this property. We want to make an offer at a discount to what the current market value is because that's a good deal. It also gives you a cushion in case prices pull back a little bit more. It's important to know that most experts are showing that over the next year or two, prices aren't expected to pull back more than 10%. And in super aggressive markets, they've already pulled back 10% and maybe are due for another 5 to 10%. So every market's different. Every deal is different. And that's where you need to dig deeper. But here's something that's important on every deal. When you're making an offer on a property, you want to ask for credits from the seller. So instead of taking the full amount of the discount in the price of the property, what you do is we ask for some discount, but then we also build in credit. Credits can be used to pay your closing costs. These can also be used to buy down your interest rate so your monthly payment will be much lower. So if you go back to when I was talking about interest rates are a bit elevated currently, but when they pull back, you can refinance this debt and get a lower interest rate. So what we really need is a great opportunity to get through the next couple of years so that our payments aren't so high. One way to do that is called a temporary buy down, where the seller pays for the interest rate and the monthly payment to be lower for the first 1, 2, or maybe even 3 years of the loan. This is built into the deal and it keeps your monthly payment low for the first couple of years of the loan. This is important because most experts agree that in the next 2 years, you'll have an opportunity to refinance the debt at a lower interest rate. So this gets you through that period with a reasonable monthly payment. You could also use a credit from the seller to just buy down the note rate permanently, but you don't get as much bang for your buck. So one of the things that we do when you're going to make an offer on a property is determine, should we do a temporary buy down or should we do a permanent buy down? How long are we going to keep this loan and when are we going to be able to potentially refinance this loan too? These are all factors that play into how we structure the deal from the interest rate perspective. Now, everybody's situation is going to be a little bit different. So we have to tailor this analysis to the individual and how well qualified they are. All these factors that go into it. Another thing we can use credits for is to make repairs or improvements to the property. For example, if you need to replace a carpet or if you need to replace a floor or new paint, sometimes the roof may need some repairs. These kinds of things can be worked into the deal. Now, when the market flips more to a seller's market, you don't really have the opportunity to build these types of things into the deal. It's kind of what happened in 2021. It was flooded and you couldn't really negotiate anything. And this is what happens with most of those types of transactions. Now, if you have questions on any of the stuff I'm covering in this video, or you want to look at possibly taking advantage of the market in this first quarter, we've set aside time to do one-on-one consultations where we can go deeper in your specific scenario, look at deals in your market and the certain price points you're interested in and actually run the numbers. Like, is this a good rental property? Is this a good property for you as a primary home? How much would the payments be? How much would you be able to afford? All those things have to be done on a case-by-case basis. I'm happy to do that for a select number of people. We do spend a lot of time with each individual, so we set aside a certain amount of time to provide each client with a good game plan and very detailed. If you want to grab one of those spots, there's a link below where you can book a one-on-one strategy call with me or my team, and I'll be happy to go through that with you in detail. Again, I know for sure there will be amazing deals in this first quarter. I'm taking advantage of this personally. I know many people are doing the same, and I'm happy to go through the numbers with you if it's something you're really interested in exploring a little bit more. So I hope you found this video helpful. Please let me know if you have any questions, and until then, please subscribe, stay up to date on my next videos.